Good morning. I am just making some breakfast for my family, for the kids and me, and I think a dozen eggs is about good. I think 12 eggs. So I am going to just pour a bit of milk in there. We'll do scrambled eggs. I just melted some butter on my pan, and I couldn't resist adding a few veggies. I chopped up these mushrooms really nice and tiny. Hopefully they're not too noticeable. So I'll fry these up for a little bit first. Those mushrooms are just cooking, and then in here, so last night I took some berries out of the freezer and just let them sit on the counter all night. And then I'm going to add some of our homemade yogurt to it. This is the last of our homemade yogurt. We've gone through it so quickly. So I will add the yogurt and some sweetener. Actually, I think, you can see my messy cupboard up here. I'm actually going to add a couple little scoops of stevia to it. Don't mind all this. This is for lunch. I have this sitting over here. It's probably about ready. No, I'm gonna turn them over. Some, just bread crusts that were in our fridge that we were avoiding and not eating. I'm leaving them there to dry, and then I will make breadcrumbs from them. Okay, that looks ready, so I'm gonna take my eggs and pour those in. Yeah, Elijah, you can start. Elijah wanted to get that yogurt together. Pour, just a second here. Definitely all of that, and then you're gonna open this one and probably about half of that one too. I imagine we'll eat quite a lot of yogurt. I put I put 3 scoopfuls of the stevia, like they're tiny little scoops. We'll try it and see if it's enough. So for the vanilla, just start pouring it. You just need like 3 good sized drips. Yeah. Okay, those are pretty, that's good. That's good, very good. Okay, to my eggs, I'm also going to add some of this seasoning. We're almost out, but I've seen that Costco sells it. So next time I go to Costco, I'll buy more of it. But it's this everything but the bagel seasoning. So I'll sprinkle some of that on the eggs as they cook. Sorry about my bad angles. This is me just thinking, I'm not going to use a tripod. I'm just going to hold the camera as I show all of our breakfast here. I probably should have added even one less of those little scoopfuls there, but we did add a bunch more yogurt just to make it not quite as sweet, and I think that's the perfect, it's still not as sweet as store-bought yogurt, it still tastes, I'm fine with it. Not being super sweet. My kids are not ones to eat it plain. I have nephew and niece who eat plain yogurt, nothing in it. Actually, Andrew does that too sometimes. He'll just eat it straight out like plain yogurt. But we like it with some fruit and sweetener. And there's our scrambled eggs. So take that off the element there. The kids are just finishing up their breakfast. They ate, and I went over and did my devotions and came back, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that there were still eggs left for me. That's the end of them. And that's the end of the yogurt too, but just enough for my breakfast. That's what I'm having. Now I'm starting my morning with just a small coffee. Breakfast is gone. All of that got eaten up, and nobody complained about the mushrooms. I wanted to wait. Elijah's here, but I wanted to wait. Elijah likes mushrooms, that's right. I wanted to wait till the kids weren't around to say that, because maybe some of them didn't even notice it. And that's totally fine. Oh, Zara heard me too. You didn't notice that? Yeah. So now I am just drinking my coffee. We're about to start our homeschool day. If you're new here to my channel, my name is Julie. I am a mom to 5, and yes, we homeschool. We'll see. We might have a morning snack. We often don't. It's 9 o'clock now, and some of the kids just finished breakfast, and so that's why, we can often not have a snack and then eat lunch at noon. So I'll be back. Like I said, for lunch, I showed you this morning, we have some of this sourdough sandwich bread. I have been making this regularly and I really don't buy bread anymore. I forgot that I hadn't quite zipped that shut and my loaf is falling out here. But it has been quite a few weeks since I've bought bread. I just have to be on top of making loaves often. And so for lunch, I'm just gonna toast that bread. We'll just do peanut butter jam, honey, apple butter, toppings on it. I also, I was thinking those bananas weren't quite ripe, but then Wesley and Simeon each had a banana this morning and they said that they're fine. They look very green, but they had no problem with it. So I'll serve some of those bananas. I also bought some sugar snap peas yesterday. We usually just do fruit if we're having like peanut butter and jam, but I bought these sugar snap peas and they're good for like 2 days before the best before date. So we're gonna have those and I'll show you. I'll show you what we put together. So here's our lunch, kind of a funny combination, but we've got our buttered toast. I just toasted everybody's bread, the sugar snap peas, bananas, and then we've got jam, apple butter, some peanut butter, and honey. Gonna have another coffee. I just put cream in at the bottom there. Top it up with coffee. I didn't show what I put on my toast for lunch, but my favorite thing to do is toast, peanut butter, honey, and sliced bananas on top, like just the perfect combination, and of course some raw veggies with it. I'm gonna get started on making dinner right away here. I did have plans to make like a sauce with beef and baked beans and then cook rice and put the sauce over the rice, but we're out this afternoon and we don't get home until like, we want to get home and sit down and eat supper right away. And so I thought I don't want to have to come home and still cook rice up. So instead I pulled out my phone and just started searching for a recipe. I'll tell you what this recipe is called that I found. I basically just looked up slow cooker. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't even think it's a slow cooker recipe. I'm just gonna put it in the slow cooker. But it is a soup. Sorry, let me just find it. It's called Beefy Mexican Rice Soup. And so it has ground beef, onions, I'm gonna put some mushrooms in it, some tomato sauce, rice, corn, supposed to be like Mexican flavors. So I'm gonna make that instead. Like I said, we haven't had this recipe before, but that way I can put it in the slow cooker, we can get home and just serve it up and eat right away. I have my Instant Pot out, and so I am going to just chop up my onion here. I've also just got the rest of this container of mushrooms that I chopped up this morning for our scrambled eggs. And mushrooms are just great to have on hand, and they go, I mean, you can really use them in any recipe. Any recipe I use, if it calls for onions, if I have mushrooms on hand, I'll just add mushrooms too and just put some extra veggies in our dish. I have said it before and I'll say it again if you're on the fence about getting an Instant Pot. There are so many things you can do with it that you can't do with a slow cooker, and my absolute favorite thing about it is that if I had a slow cooker, I would be chopping up my onions, chopping up my mushrooms, and I'd have to put them on a frying pan with my beef and cook that all before I transfer it to the slow cooker. But with the Instant Pot, I am gonna turn this on. Actually, I'll turn it on right now. It has a saute setting, and I can saute all of my meat and veggies, and then in my Instant Pot, and then put all my other ingredients in and just change the setting to slow cook. I also added in some garlic here. Those veggies, oh, they always smell so good. And now I'm going to add my ground beef. I do find rice, similarly to pasta in the slow cooker, a little bit tricky. Like, it's tricky to know. I haven't mastered, you know, how long you want to cook it for and it not be overcooked, you know, like all mushy and like overcooked. So I think I'm just gonna put all my ingredients in and let them cook for a little bit, get them all mixed and warmed, and then I will add the rice more like an hour and a half before we eat, and we'll test that out because my recipe is not a slow cooker recipe. I have to adjust that a little bit, and we don't want mushy rice, so hopefully we don't get mushy rice. We'll try this out. My beef is cooked through, and so the next thing I need to do is add some taco seasoning. I'm going to add, I think the recipe says 3 tablespoons. I'm gonna try 2 tablespoons. I'm thinking that might be enough for spicy enough that, you know, it has a little bit of a kick, but not so spicy that my kids complain about it. So that just is going to get mixed in with the meat, and then I think I have all of the other ingredients here ready to go that just need to be dumped in. So next, the recipe calls for 8 cups of beef stock. I never have beef stock on hand, so I am just going to use, I usually just use this chicken bouillon substitute I make. It's just like nutritional yeast and some other spices. So I'm gonna put a bit of that in there, a can of diced tomatoes, some tomato sauce, the one important ingredient I think I forgot to mention earlier, and that's black beans, some corn. I'm just gonna estimate on the amount there. It calls for 2 teaspoons of salt, but that seems like a lot to me. I'm just gonna sprinkle a bit, and then we'll check the flavor. And then it also calls for some lemon juice. I think the recipe actually says lime juice. You can see I'm not like perfectly following the recipe. So some lemon juice. I'm going to give this all a stir. I've already set it to slow cook. I forgot this whole point in making this meal is that we're out of the house till just before supper, so I'm gonna have to put the rice in before I head out. So it's going to be in for a couple of hours. Yeah, okay, that's looking good, and we don't even have the rice in yet. Okay, so that, I guess I'm not really showing you what's in here, am I? Okay, that's how it looks right now. It is set to slow cook, so I'm just gonna put the lid on, do a little cleanup, and then I'll add rice a little bit later. The younger 3 kids are all outside, and they requested I bring them some trail mix, so I'm gonna put it into the bowls here and bring it outside to them. It's this peanut lovers mix, and I think I'm gonna have a couple handfuls of this for snack too. It's not like the healthiest trail mix, but it is really yummy. Actually, I'm gonna slice up some apples first. That's what I want to eat for a snack, so maybe I'll slice up a few of these. We're home and ready to eat supper. It looks really, really good. I did try a bite, and I don't know if it was just the bite I took or what. It's actually looking more cooked now. Okay, we got home like 10 minutes ago, and I tried a bite, and the couple pieces of rice I had were like just barely cooked. Like I probably could have stuck the rice in even a little bit earlier than I did. But right now I'm looking at it thinking that rice looks really nice and puffy. Anyway, we're gonna serve that into bowls. I also thought some shredded cheese and sour cream would go well with it. So that's gonna be our supper. Okay, report back on the soup. It was really tasty. I'm so glad I only did the 2 tablespoons of, I'm really glad I only did the 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, where I said the recipe called for 3, I think, because it was just the right amount of spice. I'm also drinking another coffee. I forgot to show that earlier, but I've been sipping this for the past, probably the past couple of hours. I did get myself a little snack tonight, so I'm having this cream soda flavored sparkling water. And then I got some of these in a bowl. I just got these a few days ago at the grocery store. I hadn't seen them before, the dark chocolate eggies, and I was kind of surprised to open them and see what the colors are, but I guess it's a good way to differentiate between the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate. Anyway, that is my evening snack tonight. So good night, you guys. Thanks for watching.